Welcome if you're new. My name is Eboni Harris and I'm a relationship therapist based in Houston, Texas. So if you saw by the title of this video, today I am briefly talking about Lori Harvey, but more in terms of her strategy for dating. Typically, I don't talk about this stuff on my topic videos. I do a vlog and sometimes I'll jump into some pop culture stuff there just because I didn't want to. I'm a therapist. I'm a relationship expert. I put the quotes up just because while I've called that, while I do have the expertise, I just know what that means sometimes. But anyways, I do have these qualifications. And so sometimes commenting on like pop culture stuff can feel baity, like I'm trying to bait, or it can feel like, I don't know. I typically just talk about topics that are, you know, that I'm interested in, that I see in my clients. I'm moving more to try to figure out like, oh, maybe I should be talking about things people are talking about on social media. And so this is one of those things that popped up. I'm very, very late to it. I feel like it was 2 weeks ago, and I know the way the internet works. After like a week, things are done. But like I said, a lot of times when it comes to pop culture stuff, I leave it in my blog. And I was actually debating on my blog, like, should I not? But I just decided to do a different video, mainly because while I will talk a little bit about Lori Harvey and her dating strategy and her matching dating styles or whatever the case may be, I'm more talking about my view of dating on your terms, because this is something I'm extremely interested in. This is something I've said so many times to clients, to friends, and all that kind of stuff, to the point of like, I'm working on more content around this specific thing because I think it's so interesting that people just really struggle with like trying to figure out what does it mean to how dating is supposed to go. And even as we are getting into this age of social media or meeting people on the internet and getting into this age of like, what does it mean to date now versus hanging out and all of that, it's interesting to me, right? I'm a relationship therapist. This is something of, maybe you're not in a relationship, but these are you having relationships with other people. You're getting to know people, and just the idea of like that, it feels like it's such a struggle, is something I'm interested in. So I probably have a lot more content around that coming up very soon. But to get back to today's topic, so I watched the Lori Harvey interview with Tiana Taylor, where they were just talking about her dating experiences, and dating on your terms was the whole point of it. And I will say this, it was quite unremarkable to me. Not to say that either one of those women are unremarkable, because they're both very interesting women, but it was the way that people were discussing the interview, I thought I was going to be like, oh, okay, now I get it. So I'm going to just kind of go through some of the stuff I heard Lori Harvey say that didn't sound too crazy for me, but maybe it is for some people. But one of the things she said was that dating has been a learning experience for her. So relationships and dating, she has learned a lot about herself. She's seen herself grow. She's really figuring herself out. Lori Harvey is 25 years old. I know Lori Harvey is a celebrity, or a celebrity adjacent, as far as I understand. I don't know if she's a celebrity in her own right, but I know she's celebrity adjacent. As a Black woman, when you grow up, when you are young, most of us have been taught we're not dating. We're not here for boys or girls or whoever you want to date. We are focusing on education. We're focusing on career. That's what our parents instill in us, right? And so when do you get to learn how to date? When do you get to learn how to be in a relationship with people? When do you get to truly understand your style? When do you get to understand who you are in relationships? If not, when you're dating and in relationships. So it makes sense that as she's dating, as she's getting to know different people, as she's going through all of these public situations, that she is also learning about herself, and she's also figuring out her style and what she wants and what she doesn't want. But of course, because she's in the public, there's this like, she should just know. And as she's figuring it out, there's so much judgment around it. Another thing that she said that I thought was very interesting, which I've heard a lot, is that who she was in her early 20s is not who she sees herself as now that she's in her mid 20s. I think she's like 25 or 26. And that is an extremely common thing. First off, because our frontal lobe isn't fully developed, right? Our executive functioning isn't there. So who we literally are at 25 and 26 are different than who we were at 20 and 21, 18, 16. We are different people because the way that we view the world has shifted, because now we have our full frontal lobe of our brain that is developed. And so this is a very common thing. As an older person, as someone who's late 30s, almost 40 or whatever the case may be, we often look at people in their 20s and like, oh, you don't know anything. But truly, their brain has completely changed in these 5 years of their 20s. It has changed. And so that does change how you look at yourself. A lot of people feel like they don't even recognize themselves and the decisions they were making when they were in 20s. They were like, oh, I would never make that same decision now. I was out here wilding, whatever. So it is very common for someone to look back at the decisions they make, look back at the people they dated and recognize, oh, that would not even be an option for me at this point in my life. And that is okay. This is called growth. This is a good thing. So it's amazing to me how much people are like, and I keep saying people, I think we all know who people are, but I love how I've heard comments around, well, you know, you just don't want to admit that you like that person or that this is someone you slept with. And it's not even about that. Like, yeah, that was someone I was with, but at this point, my standards have completely changed. Or that was somebody I was with, but at this point, now I know more of my worthiness and I know more of what dating entails and what I'm okay with and what I'm not okay with. I didn't know that when I was 20, when I was just getting into these dating streets, right? I've learned. And so I don't understand why there is frustration around someone learning and someone growing, but that seems to be the thing. And then the last thing, which is what the part that caught a lot of people apparently off guard, I say some people, I don't know if there's a lot of people, but caught people off guard was the fact that she was very clear around dating on her terms. If this person is not willing to date on her terms, she's not interested in dating them, and she moves on. And what I say to that is we all should be that way. We should all be, one, very clear on what our terms are. That's number one. And number two, we should be dating on our terms, because what is the alternative? If I'm not dating on the terms that I've set for myself, if I'm not dating on the terms that on the things that I've decided for myself, what is the alternative? I date on your terms? Why would I do that? The same reason why you wouldn't date on my terms, right? And that's what I'm kind of going to go into, is the whole idea of dating on your terms. And what I believe is the core of my beliefs around dating is you should date people that date like you. You should date people that date like you. So I wanted to talk about that. Like, I want to talk about what does it mean to date on your terms. And before I even get into that, I wanted to jump into like, what are the goals of dating? Because sometimes we all think everyone has the same goals, especially when it comes to women. I will say this. I believe there's an assumption that every woman wants to be married. Every woman wants to have babies. Every woman wants to be a wife, or, you know, whatever this is. And that's just not the truth for all women. There are a lot of women that are perfectly fine without getting married. They may want to have long-term relationships. There are women that are like, I don't really care about a long-term relationship. I want to enjoy people and get to know people. There are women that don't want to have kids, right? There are women who want to have a long-term relationship but also wants to be able to explore whatever. There are different lifestyles. There are different people that enjoy different parts of life or expect different things in their life. And so that means when we're talking about dating goals, that means everyone might have different dating goals. So you need to talk to people that have the similar goals. You need to talk to people that want the same things you want, right? If you are a person that truly, truly wants to get married, and maybe I want to get married too, but at 26, maybe I don't want to get married, right? Maybe at 26, I don't want to get married. Maybe at 26, I'm figuring out like, yes, that's something I want. But right now, this isn't the time for me to be like in a relationship, because whatever you might view as being in a marriage, right? And I think that's a whole other conversation, because I do think oftentimes we have an idea of what it means to be married, and we're not recognizing we get to design our own marriage. But because we're so based on what we've seen or what we think it's supposed to be, then there can be some fear of like, nah, I don't really want to be married right now. I want to kind of continue to, we could be in a relationship and we can do that, but whatever my ideas of marriage are, that's not what I want in my life right now, which is okay. But also, if you do want to get married, you say, hey, my timeline is I want to be married. Obviously, you can't control the future, so you don't know, but I would like to get married in the next 2 to 3 years. Then that's something that is important, right? And you need to be with someone who also has a similar timeline, right? Again, you can't control things. You can say I want to be married in the next 2 or 3 years and be single for the next 2 or 3 years. But if you know, if I'm in a relationship, if I'm in a loving, caring, happy relationship, after a year or so, I'm going to be thinking about marriage. That's just where I'm at in life. And so I need to be with someone who can also be, at some point, they think, yes, I could think about marriage. If I'm with someone and I love them and I see a future, then yes, marriage will be on the table, right? And again, we get into situations and I think sometimes you don't know, obviously, when you get into it, but starting off with at least that, like, do we have similar goals? Again, do we date the same? Are we dating for the same reasons? And I think you should be clear on your goals. I don't think you need to, on the first date or the first time you meet someone, hey, I'm going to be married in 2 years. If we're together for more than 2 years, we need to be married. I don't think you need to do all that. But I do think you need to communicate what your goals are. I think you need to communicate, hey, like, and again, it won't be the first conversation, but if you've hung out with somebody, because, see, I'm about to go on a whole tangent. When you first start dating someone, you need to figure out if you like them. But if you figure out, like, okay, I like this person kind of fits some of the things I want, then at that point you might say, like, hey, like, this is my goal. I am dating with the purpose of getting married. I am dating with the purpose of finding a life partner. I am dating because I would like to be in a relationship. I am dating because I like dating and getting to know people, and I feel like you're somebody I want to have in my life for a while. Whatever your goals are, because all of those are different. right? That's the reason why I said it 3 different ways or 4 different ways. All of those are very different. So whatever your goals are, at the point that you feel like, okay, I like this person, I connect with this person, then yeah, let them know this is my goal. I'm not saying you're going to be the person. I'm not saying that you're the one or whatever, but I just want to put that out there that is one of my goals. So I want to continue to do this and get to know you, but I want to make it clear that is one of my goals. And so if it's not anywhere near one of your goals, right, it might be a goal, but if it's not the exact way that you stated it, then, hey, we can chill right now. But if you want to continue to just kind of see what this is, I'm just letting you know that will be something, if we continue, that may come up. If we get into a relationship, that might come up later, right? So I'm communicating with clarity. This is why I'm dating. This is what I desire. And the last thing I want to talk about is, should you stay in a relationship just because it's good, right? And I think about the idea of commitment and letting go, and I think this is something that people struggle with because they're like, well, you had a good man, why'd you let him go? Or you had a good woman, right? I'm hoping people are telling men that as well. You had a good woman, why'd you let her go, right? But the bottom line is, this relationship may not serve me any longer, right? And I think there's a struggle sometimes, and this is something I probably want to flesh out a little bit more, so you're kind of getting my raw thoughts on it. But there's a difference between, like, I am in a marriage commitment versus we're in a dating or relationship commitment. There are differences in those types of commitments. Number one, that is a fact. Number two, but I don't think that a marriage commitment means you have to be there for a lifetime, but that's just me. This is a marriage counselor who works with couples to help them get there. Sometimes you get new information. And when you get that new information, you have to make a good decision for yourself, right? There are people that present themselves in a certain way in the beginning. There are people that were that way in the beginning and then change. And that is perfectly fine too. But once you realize, oh crap, this isn't who I thought you were. Okay, yeah, no, I can't do this anymore. Then you have a right to leave, right? And even in good relationships, even in happy relationships, if something changes, if you change, if you feel like, you know what, this is a good person, but this person is not for me. They're a good person because they enjoy these things over here. I'm a good person because I enjoy these things over here. We don't have things that we like to do together. Or we don't have things that make us good together. Like maybe we're good separately, but we're not good together. Then it's okay to leave. So I think recognizing when is it okay to let go of a relationship. And it does not mean it has to be like chaos or cheating or abuse. Or it could just be like, we're good, but we don't have a good physical relationship, or we're good, but it just feels like something is missing. We can be good, but that doesn't mean we have to be together. It may be something missing. It may be, this is a good situation, but I need to grow beyond this. I feel like I would not do that in this relationship. Maybe there's one person that's very fine with how things are, and the other person is like, I need more. That's fine. And I think it's important, if you're trying to decide between like, should I stick to this commitment or should I let it go? I think you have to tap into like, what is it something that I need to work on, right? And if there is like a fear of commitment or something like that, that does not mean stay in a relationship, because if you have a fear of commitment, being in a commitment isn't going to help you, right? You need to figure that out. You need to figure out if there's something there that you need to work through. But I also feel like that oftentimes we don't recognize how often the person we were dating shifts and grows over time, right? And you want a relationship where both of you can grow, both of you can change, and that's okay. But if it grows in a way where we're growing apart, that's fine. It may be time to let it go. And I think sometimes people struggle with the idea of like, if you have a partner and if you have a good partner, why would you leave that person? And it's probably because the worthiness or the goodness or the who I am isn't based in my partner, right? And so while this person can be a good person, I could still say, but for me, this isn't the right person. Or for me, I need something different, or I need to be myself, right? Whatever the reason is. And so I feel like we give a lot of shame and guilt for people choosing themselves over someone else. But then we also talk about self-care and like it's all conflicting, right? So if you choose to take care of yourself, even if you're with a good partner, then that is okay. Again, I think if you find that there is this like ongoing pattern of like, dang, I keep meeting these really great guys, or I keep meeting really great women, and I'm excited, I want to be with them, and then it fizzles out, then that might be something you need to work on. But if it's just truly a matter of like, this was good, but things have changed, you have changed, and I have changed, and we are no longer as good as we were together, that does not mean I'm a bad person and you're a bad person, it just is what it is, then it's okay to let go, right? And so I think the biggest thing I want to say is, if you're not dating on your own terms, whose terms are you dating on? You really have to learn through dating, through relationships, what works for you and what doesn't. You have to choose if you want to stay in a situation or not. And you have to figure out what your terms are. And then please date on your terms. please find people that are compatible. Find people that either have the same terms or have compatible complementary terms so that y'all can grow together. But don't ever feel guilty for choosing yourself. Don't ever feel guilty for choosing how you want to live your life and not bending to what other people say or complying to whatever someone else tells you you should be doing. You have to make that decision for yourself. All right. I hope you got something from this and enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to like this video, comment below, let me know any questions or any other topics that you would like me to talk about, and I will talk to you next time. That's all. Bye.